So what about this letter to Kevin Carlton Reeves, written in 1963? I also spend a lot of time stroking cats. There are literally hundreds of stray ones here in Rome. I've adopted the sweetest little white kitten you ever saw, but so skinny. I may come home for Christmas, but it isn't definite. It also says that she's staying with a countess. When the tide is too high to mudlark, this is often where I'll come, to the local flea market to search for forgotten memories and untold stories of lives gone by. So this is Peter, and he has this amazing stall here. It's like urban mudlarking. Seriously, look at it. It's just full of treasures.
We can get some mud if you want. Oh, thank you.
And Peter,
right,
how long have you been doing this?
42 years.
42 years?
Yeah.
And we're at Deptford, and it is like, what would you call it really? It's just...
Rubbish.
It's rubbish, but it's treasures though, isn't it?
To a certain extent, but it's still rubbish.
But they're things that might have been really special to somebody at some point, mightn't they?
Oh, I suppose so.
Because I found so many lovely things on your stall, like old postcards and letters and...
Oh yeah, well that's because, you know, when you do house clearances, you're taking people's lives, aren't you?
Yeah.
What they've left behind.
I know, it always makes me feel kind of, well, happy to find it. I kind of want to rescue it.
I tell you what I find strange, the only thing is the amount of photographs of children and whatever that are left behind.
I know.
Yeah, hundreds of photographs.
I know, it makes me want to find them. It also makes me wonder whether all my things are going to end up on a stool one day.
Madam, your stuff will be in a black plastic bag. I'm telling you.
Really?
Because what happened, I don't know if you got your children will go in first,
yeah.
Your relatives, take the bits they want, then you'll get someone in to come and clear it, right? And then you'll take all the bits he wants and the rest goes in a black bag into the dump.
Yeah, it makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Makes you think. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go and have a look to see if I can find any treasures to rescue.
Well, tell me, will you, pointing them out?
I will. And on occasions, amongst the jumble of objects and papers, poignant remnants of past lives can be found. Some of these remnants reveal stories I feel compelled to share. Join me as I discover and bring into the limelight the forgotten lives found during my forays in the flea market. And some time ago, it was about a year ago I think, I found a beautiful little sketch pad, like an art diary, and it's really, really special. Thanks, Peter.
Okay, darling. Bye, love. Okay.
Hi everyone, how are you doing? I hope that wherever you're watching from, you're in good health and in good spirits, and that all is well in your world. And if it's not going so well, then I really hope that it soon will be. And I hope that you're going to enjoy this video, which I'm about to share with you. It's something a little different to what I usually do. It's not my usual mudlarking, but it is fascinating social history nevertheless. So please do stay and watch. I absolutely love that flea market. You just never know what treasures you're going to come home with, and it has to be the next best thing to mudlarking. It's like urban mudlarking or urban larking. And this book that I've got in front of me here is the book that you heard me mention a little while ago, which I found whilst rummaging around on Peter's stall in Deptford Flea Market probably just over 2 years ago now. And I absolutely love it. It's really well worn. You can tell that somebody has really looked after it, that it's been carried around in somebody's pocket or in their bag, and it's been very well used, and it still has a little pencil in it, can you believe? It came with a collection of individual paintings and also a handwritten letter, which I discovered at the back of the book. And the first thing I was very, very pleased to discover about this little sketchbook is that it's full of watercolours of the sea, seascapes, coastal scenes, and I do love a good coastal scene. I grew up in Cornwall, and so it's something that I'm very, very fond of. And as you can see here, there's lots of sea and sky, and not all coastal. There's a few that are slightly different, but still very, very charming. I just love this, these birds here. and flowers. And in fact, there's another one very similar just here. And so I was even more thrilled to discover that pretty much all of them in this book are scenes that have been painted in the Isles of Scilly, which is a group of islands situated just off of the coast of Cornwall. And we can see here that there's some initials, JBS 1919. So I was really excited to find out that these paintings were done over 100 years ago. Some of them are labelled. This is Samson, just off the Isles of Scilly. So this person obviously travelled around the islands with this sketchbook and did as much painting as possible. As I mentioned, there are several individual paintings, also signed JBS 1919, Annette and Bishop, Isles of Scilly. JBS 1918. And here we've got JBS 1919. Just look at the colour of that sea, isn't it beautiful? Up channel from Tresco, Isles of Scilly. And then, luckily for me, luckily for us, we've got another clue as to who did these paintings. We've got J.B. Stewart, 1918, and this is a painting of the blockhouse on the island of Tresco, which is one of the Scilly Islands. So now we have a little bit more to go on. So J.B. Stewart was in fact Jean Blair Stewart, who was born Jean Blair Stevenson in 1889 to Robert and Isabel Stevenson. So Jean would have been around about 29, 30 years old when she did these paintings in between 1918 and 1919. And you can tell just by looking at them that she absolutely loved the islands and probably knew them pretty well, which would make sense. Her father, Robert, was a customs officer there and then went on to become receiver of wrecks. Now in 1915, Jean got married to John Hunter Stewart and she became Jean Blair Stewart. Now one thing I wanted to point out is that in the video that you're about to see, I refer to her as Jean Stevenson, and that is because I got a little bit confused. I think because the two surnames are beginning with S, I got a bit mixed up with Stewart and Stevenson. She was Jean Stewart when she painted these paintings. She was married by then. So she married John Hunter Stewart in 1915 and moved back to Kent. But we know that she was back in the Isles of Scilly in 1919, partly because there's several paintings here that she's done in 1919, but also because of this letter. And it was written on the 6th of August, 1919. Dear Jack and Jean, I was greatly surprised when I received your most welcomed letter yesterday, but I was delighted to hear from you. When I looked at the postmark before opening your letter, I saw it was stamped Scilly. Well, dear friends, so you are at Scilly's, enjoying yourselves. How is young Stevenson? Tinson, as we call him, getting on? I expect he is a fine laddie now. Peace day at home here was very same. Hi everyone, you will never guess where I am today. I'm here with Ellie.
Hello.
Miss Detectorist, who some of you will no doubt recognise from her amazing YouTube channel. But guess where we are? We are, do you want to tell them where we are, Ellie?
We're on the beautiful Isles of Scilly and we're sitting at the moment in the New Inn pub on Tresco. There's a storm outside and we've just set ourselves up with a glass of wine.
Yeah, so first of all, cheers everyone.
Welcome, glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. A few years ago, I bought this little sketch pad in a flea market in Deptford. And when I started to look through these paintings, I realised that they are mostly from the Isles of
I recognise
Scilly.
some of these places.
So I thought it would be amazing to come over and see if I could find or go and see some of the places that Jean painted over 100 years ago. And Ellie, you are just the perfect person to maybe help me.
Well, I think I can, because I'm a landscape artist and I do recognise some of these views. I think it would be really fun if we went and see if we can find out where some of these places were painted from.
Is that Samson?
That's Samson. That's the double humps of Samson, and I think I know where that's painted from. Certainly some of these earlier paintings, this one for example, is very recognisable. This is Cromwell's castle. If we were to take a walk around the perimeter of the island, at some point we're gonna hit the place where this lady was sitting 100 years ago.
Before we go and have our meal, Ellie is an artist. You're a coastal artist, right?
That's right, yeah. I'm here at the moment on art residency, so I'm here to immerse myself in these islands and to make new work for the gallery here on Tresco. So I'll be doing some painting alongside your research work, and I'll be very happy to take you along with me where I'm going, and you can maybe find out where some of these little paintings were made. Nicola, I've brought you here because this is the most amazing landscape. It's just covered in archaeological remains from the early Bronze Age and back even to Neolithic times. It's got standing stones and cairns. It's like a moorland, and you said just now it looks a bit like Dartmoor. It is a bit like that. I've brought you here because I think there's a view here that is in your little sketchbook of paintings. I've got a favourite place to sit here. I think it's a Bronze Age sofa, and I'll tell you why. Right, look at this. There's no way that hasn't been made by man. Look, it's got the flattest back, and the best thing about it is it looks out to the sunset. I think Bronze Age man liked a sunset the same as we do. So I think we should sit here and enjoy the view. And this is where I think your painting was made. So this is the view that I recognise. It's very obviously Round Island with the Round Island lighthouse on the top of it. And if you look out there to see, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I can see actually, now I'm looking more closely at this, that we might be sitting in slightly the wrong place, because if you look at these rocks here that the artist has drawn in the foreground, they're not quite matching up. I feel like we need to walk slightly more left along the coast until we find the exact place where this person sat and made these paintings this painting in 1918. Even more amazing is that this place really hasn't changed at all since she would have sat here. There's nothing here that would say we're in 2024. You know,
no, you're right, there isn't.
It's exactly as it was. So we really know what she was looking at. It's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, let's go and see if we can find it. I think they were sitting at Piper's Hole over here, which is where these amazing big waves come in the winter. And I was hoping we might see that today, but unlucky for us, it's a very beautiful, calm day. Hey, we're going to go right past the most amazing entrance tomb. If you'd like to see it, it's a Bronze Age burial tomb. They're quite unusual. I think they're known as Selonian tombs because they're only found here. I can't remember the exact name of it now, but they're only found here. I found a Bronze Age tool when I was metal detecting in Devon. It's a chisel terminal. It's really beautiful. It looks like sharp on the top edge, and then it comes down. It's got a square profile like lots of the Bronze Age tools have. And I brought it here and took it into this entrance tomb. I'll show you where I photographed it. There's it's like a little cubby hole that's been carved out of the granite, and it must have once had maybe for a candle, or I don't know, but I imagine that people that went inside the tomb must have put something in that. It's here, look. It would have had capstones on the top of it, this is where Bronze Age people would have come to bury their dead.
Oh yeah,
Get
I
right
see what you mean.
inside
So
it.
there's this little cubby hole just here.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, you can tell that that's been
It's kind of hewn out of the rock.
hewn out of the rock. Just there.
You can imagine what it must have been like to enter into this space and...
Would it have gone?
Well, I think that's as far as it would have gone, but it would have had capstones over the top of us,
Yeah.
over the roof. And if I turn the camera back round to see what you can see, when you come out of this tomb, it overlooks an island which is shaped like a barrow. So, see that shape there?
Yeah.
That one. That island has the shape of the barrows on the mainland. It's amazing to be able to step inside such an ancient site, isn't it? Because normally things like this are cordoned off and you can't actually go inside. And
Beautiful place to be buried.
I know, it
Isn't it?
really is. And they really did it well, didn't they? Our ancient ancestors, they knew how to honour people and how to still connect with them even after they're gone. Quite likely on that island over there, there'll be another one, because these burial chambers communicate to each other visually like this. So quite likely if we went over there, we would probably find there would be another one that looks back at the same place.
At that one.
Okay, let's go to Piper's Hole. I reckon we're nearly there, because the
Piper's Hole, which is up here.
Piper's Hole is down there in the sea.
Okay.
It's a natural formation in the rock where the water rushes up through this little tiny gap, and when the weather is wild it just explodes like a geyser. It's really impressive, but we've come on a very still day. You'll still be able to see it, I think. It's down there. We could clamber down and just have a little look if you like.
Okay.
It's dangerous as hell.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
want to?
I like a bit of danger.
When it's stormy, I usually stand over there, and the waves come rushing in through this little narrow gap,
Oh yeah.
and you get these amazing kind of explosions of water that rise up like, 40, 50 feet in the air. It's really impressive. But today, look, it's still as anything. I feel like we're getting closer now, do you? Because the rocks are starting to shift across to the right.
She's got the shape of the rock pretty good, actually. If you come and have a look at that.
She has actually. She has
rock,
got the
hasn't
shape
she?
of the rock really well. And she was obviously here on a bit more of a wild day, because there's a lot more white in the sea than there is today. And the pinkness in the sky. Perhaps she was here. Do you see that gannet?
Did it just dive?
Did you miss that gannet?
I missed the. Oh gosh.
Wow, that was amazing. There's another one right above it.
Oh yeah, there's gannets here. There's one there. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. I love watching the gannets dive.
There are two here, aren't there? And they're obviously on the
Yeah,
hunt
there's-
for lunch.
One there. I love watching them plummet down. Wonder if he's going to, that
right
one.
in front of Round Island.
Yeah, let's see.
Do you
It's
think
going
they
to
must be able
dive.
to spot the fish
They
underneath?
do, yeah, from above.
They've got pretty good eyesight. Because
Let's see if it's going to dive.
he must be, what do you reckon, 30 feet up?
There
we
he
go.
goes.
Whoa!
Whoa! Did you see that? I love that. And they swim under the water. Like if you you can see these pictures of gannets, and they're so streamlined.
Wow, that was awesome. I love that. Did he get a fish?
I don't know. Let's see if
He's flying off. He doesn't look like he's eating on the way. I don't think
might,
he was lucky
He might
that
dive
time.
again.
I still feel like I'm about 12 coming here.
How long have you been coming to the islands?
I think since I was about 11 or 12. Yeah, and marauding around on bikes with my brother. And this was one of the places we used to come. This is King Charles's castle. This was one of the defences built here to protect the entrance of the islands from invading forces. But there was a mistake made with the design of this building, which just makes me chuckle. I don't know why, but it does. They built it too high up, and it meant that the cannons couldn't function properly. So they then had to. I love thinking about the board meeting afterwards where someone had to admit they'd made a really bad mistake. They then had to unpick the building and build it again lower down, and we're going to go there next. So this is the first iteration of this defence, and then down there is Cromwell's castle, and you can see why they're positioned here to protect this channel from invading forces. So this here is the latrine, and look, underneath it is this very fertile pile. This is Civil War poo. Well, it must be, because look from the side here, you can see that very clearly there is a pile.
Some very healthy
and even the
plantage.
lichen is growing more healthily here, where the exit from the latrine came down here. I like details like that. I like noticing things like that about buildings. You know, buildings like this that had real people in. I think that's so fascinating.
So actually, Ellie, Cromwell's castle, that building just there,
Yeah.
the second castle they built, that is also in the sketchbook.
Yes, it is.
And Jean painted that.
She painted it twice, and she must have really liked this view. But I can see from her paintings that she was probably sitting further up this way and looking back towards the channel where the Atlantic Sea meets this channel between the islands. So what we'll do after we've had a look around these two castles is walk back home along that path and see if we can see where she must have sat to make those two paintings.
Okay, I'm going to get the book out. I'll find the painting of, yeah, there's two of them. So I've got the little postcard here. So
Great. Well, while we walk along, maybe we can see if we can see where it was painted from. I think we need to walk along a little bit towards the left here and see if we can spot where it was done.
Okay. Well, now when I look at the postcard, I can think, oh, I've actually been in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really nice thing, isn't it?
Mm.
I wonder if she might have painted this one at this time of year, because she's included some of this warm brackeny colour. It doesn't have a date on it.
No, it's a shame it doesn't have a date, isn't it? But I know that these were mostly done between sort of 1917 and 1919.
Yeah. And it's hard to know as well, because I think sometimes over a long time the paper discolours and the paints can sometimes change a little bit, the sort of integrity of the colour, so it might not look exactly as it did. So maybe I'm imagining that it's got bracken.
I love the way she's tried to do the reflection in the water there.
Yeah, that's lovely, isn't it? And that tells us it must have been a really lovely still day. Yes, there are little clues, aren't there, in her painting about what the day was like. That's nice, isn't it? Doesn't match yet. I love this little beach. It's so pretty, isn't it?
It's so pretty. It's making me want to go in swimming again.
You've got to do that. Are you going to do that today?
Yes.
Great. You say that every day, Nicola.
I know. Less words and more action.
Yeah, exactly. We're still not quite in the right place. We need to be able to see the opening to the channel to know we're in the right place.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going to be the next headland round, isn't it?
There's a heron.
Oh, I saw him yesterday. Beautiful creatures, aren't they, those?
Mm.
Aha, I've got something to show you.
Okay.
See over there on that rock there?
Yeah.
Can you see what's on the top of it?
Is that the Hangman's?
That's Hangman's, I think it's called Hangman's Island or Hangman's Rock. And that's a gallows with a noose still hanging off it.
What's the history of?
Well, I've read
place?
that it was once a place where sailors that had misbehaved were dealt with. Okay, hold up. I think we might be here.
Let me zoom in a minute. Oh yes, it could be.
I think.
Yeah, that looks more like it, doesn't it? Yeah, it does.
She could have been sat just here, or maybe on the top. This is it. This is it, we've got it. I can even see the reflection of the castle in the water. I think this is it because the height here on these rocks gives us the perspective that she's painted in on these rocks. Look.
Oh yes, you're right.
Can you see the reflection
Yeah.
of the castle in the water?
I love it.
What a lovely place to sit.
Yes, and like you say, even the reflections there. So this is brilliant. We've actually found the spot where Jean Stevenson was when she painted this picture of Cromwell's castle, and it's just fantastic to be standing where she was over 100 years ago, and it's like the story has come full circle from a flea market in Deptford where I found this sketchbook back to the original place where she was painting this scene. So she was here looking at exactly the same thing as what we're looking at now, and there's even, as Ellie pointed out earlier, there's even the reflection in the water. I'm gonna get lichen all over my bum now. Hang on. I don't think she sat here. I don't think she sat on this rock, but maybe. I'm thinking this looks quite comfortable here. Yeah. Yes, I think this is the perfect place to sit to paint the castle.
I want to show you one of my favourite beaches. This is so beautiful, Green Beach, and I think it's another location that was painted by Jean. I recognise something already on the top of that hill over there. Old blockhouse, which I think is a feature in one of the paintings inside your book.
Okay, well I've got the book so we can have a look through it.
Just
look
look
isn't
at
it
this
so
beautiful beach.
Isn't it gorgeous? I almost feel like I'm on a tropical island. Well, I am, I suppose.
It
is a bit tropical,
does
isn't it?
feel like that. I think it's the colour of the sand from the shells and the granite. So white, it's almost like Caribbean.
So over there behind me is the view that Jean painted. And so Ellie's brought along some art materials and I'm going to have a crack at it myself.
Look at the colour of the water, Nicola.
Oh, look at the colour of that water.
Oh my God, this is the best colours ever, isn't it?
Maybe Jean sat on those rocks there.
Quite possibly, yeah. Might be easier for us to sit just off the rocks just because we've got quite a lot of stuff. So I've got a waterproof something to sit on anyway. Apron for you.
So Jean Blair Stewart in 1918 set out to paint the blockhouse over there in the distance.
She's kind of deconstructed it and put it back together in a
Yeah,
early 20th
she
century
has.
way.
She's captured the colour of the water nicely there, hasn't she? Obviously the paint's probably faded over the years. And she's got the... Do you know what? It's funny because
what
actually...
she's captured best, I think, is the sweep of the bay.
Yeah, and
and
it
the
looks as
colour
if
of
the
the
tide,
rocks.
the tide is kind of the same
Yeah, very similar
height
actually. Yeah.
as it is today, over 100 years later. So...
It's going to be a race against time, Nicola, because that rain is setting in.
Okay, let's try and do it. Let's do it.
This is the life of a plein air artist, I'm afraid.
Quickest sketch ever. I think Jean would have taken a little bit longer on this, and actually Jean did a jolly good job compared to what I'm doing.
It's actually, it is hard to do, isn't it? You know, especially quickly. So she did a good job.
She did.
Sure.
She did a grand job. I'm sure that she'd be very proud of what I'm doing. Right, I'm going to put the blockhouse there.
How are you feeling about your swim, Nicola?
I'm going to go in for a swim as soon as I've done this picture, which is looking, actually, do you know what? It's very, I'm doing an abstract picture, everyone.
I love it.
It's an abstract picture.
I'm afraid mine's a little bit abstract as well.
And in a minute, I'm going to take my clothes off and run into this
Don't
beautiful.
take them all off.
Well, no, not all of them. Oh no! Now it is going to rain. Okay. What do you reckon? It's my representation.
I think that's awesome. I love it.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I really do. I think you've captured it for sure.
I wonder what Jean would think.
She would say, well done you for coming out in the storm and giving it a good go.
I think I've captured
I think you have.
the sea very well, don't you? Do you think I'd be invited to do a residency on the island?
Yes, I do, actually. It's brilliant. I love it.
There we are. Well, that's going to be my effort for the day, but it's been just so fantastic to come here
Yeah.
and imagine that Jean Stevenson was here back in 1918. Who
It's
knows?
amazing.
Maybe it was still the war. And look, do you know what? There is a beautiful rainbow right
wow.
behind you. I may have to
Yeah, go and get the
go and
camera.
get the camera and turn it around so everybody else can see. Look, I'm sorry, it's not my best painting, but look, take a look at this rainbow, and maybe that is a sign from Jean. Look at that beautiful rainbow.
That's amazing. Aren't we lucky to see it?
Isn't that absolutely magical? I mean, just look at those colours. Let's have a look at yours.
Well, I
look
haven't
at
got the right-
yours.
I haven't got the right colours on this palette. All enough time. Let's just we can sort this out. That's lovely, isn't it? So beautiful.
I think that's just a sign that there's treasure here, and I think we found it. That just had to be done.
Well done. I'm so proud of you. I've got Jean's painting and I've got our little 5-minute efforts. Let's have a look at them.
5-minute effort is
You can see it with the view
pretty
behind.
excellent. There's mine and there's Jean's, and there is the view that we've all done. That's just so fantastic. What do you think, Jean?
I think she said she liked it with the rainbow.
So, we have decided to do a little giveaway of our beautiful pieces of art. Well, actually, I think this is more beautiful than
I think
mine.
they're both wonderful.
This one's fabulous.
5-minute art.
We will, of course, sign them. So we'll do these two together, I think, and we'll sign them. You even get some free grains of Isles of Scilly sand there. So, okay, this is going to be a giveaway. So what shall we say you have to do? Okay, so I'd like you please to put something in the comments below, something that you've really enjoyed about this video. And let's say, followed by hashtag Tresco. Why don't we do that? Hashtag Tresco. So something that you've enjoyed about this video, not just me running in the sea with my swimming costume on, followed by hashtag Tresco. And then in a couple of weeks, I'll do the thing, you know, to find out who's won, and I'll let you know who's the lucky winner of these two pieces of artwork, which we've done thinking of Jean Stevenson when she was here on Tresco in 1918.
Good luck.
Hi everyone, it's me again. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Who would have thought that this little book here, thrown out in a house clearance and then ending up on a flea market stall in Deptford, would lead me to discover two artists inspired by the Isles of Scilly, albeit separated by a century, Jean Blair Stewart and Ellie Verrecchia. It's almost like a magical book. I was able to step into the pages and then emerge onto the Isles of Scilly and then see them through the eyes of Jean and also through the eyes of Ellie. Isn't it brilliant that that power of creativity and that need to create that both Jean had and that Ellie has is constantly present through the ages, and it has such a positive impact on people. I mean, Jean may be long gone, but I bet she never guessed that so many people would now be looking at her paintings all over the world. And really, that rainbow at the end there was just a beautiful way to end that adventure. And I just wanted to let you know what I found out about the rest of Jean's life. She had two children with her husband John, who was also known as Jack. Her children were called Robert and Ian. So the first son, Robert, he was actually mentioned in this letter here and was referred to as Tinson. He would have been about 3 when this letter was written in 1919. Sadly, I discovered that Tinson went on to die in service in World War II in 1942 at the age of 25. He was killed in action in India and was buried over there. I'm sure that Tinson knew the Isles of Scilly really well, along with his brother Ian, and that they spent many happy holidays there. Their grandparents were there, and it made me think about when I actually went for a holiday to the Isles of Scilly back in about 1999 with my own son, Angelo, when he was about 8 years old. And just this morning, actually, I thought, I've got those photos here somewhere, let me go and find them. So I went to dig them out and I couldn't believe it. I found a photograph of myself during that holiday standing on the cliffs, but with the Cromwell Castle in the background. It was just really, really funny looking at it, thinking, gosh, my past me would never have guessed that over 20 years later I would be back again on the other side, exploring Cromwell Castle with Ellie and having this adventure. It just goes to show that time flies and we really need to just make the most of every moment and really be in the present and make the most of the time that we spend with the people that we love. And so there's some photos here of myself and Angelo on one of the boats, doing a little bit of visiting on the various islands of the Isles of Scilly, and then one of me cooking a saucepan of pasta outside the tent. Very happy memories indeed. So I need to say some huge thank yous, and of course I'm going to start with you who are watching this video. Thank you so much for watching my video. And I need to say a massive thank you to Ellie, who I actually met through her metal detecting activities. Ellie is very multi-talented. She's a detectorist, a YouTuber, an artist. She's so very, very creative, as you have seen. And if you haven't checked out her metal detecting YouTube channel, then please go on and take a look. She's also an amazing storyteller, and so you will really enjoy her videos. She also has an Instagram account. She goes under the name of Miss Detectorist. And so, yes, do check her out because you won't regret it. Now, I had an opportunity to talk to Ellie about her art whilst I was on the Isles of Scilly, and we did a little interview. So I'm going to share that with you right now.
You never know what we might find on this beach. Keep your eyes peeled for shipwreck stuff. I mean, if the Sophie was dragged up this deep channel and came to rest here, there must have been other boats that came up there and were left. So I'm here this week preparing art for a gallery that's based on the islands, and I'm a coastal artist, which means that I work along the coast of Great Britain, mainly the south coast, Devon, Cornwall and into the Isles of Scilly, and I'm inspired by found objects. One of the things that I like to do is beach combing, but obviously I'm now also a detectorist as well. But my love of the search for objects has been since I was tiny, really. I've always looked for things, and I'm really interested in the stories that objects tell us about people and places and how they move around in places, and particularly by the sea, where the land meets the sea. It's a really interesting place. And in the past, particularly where people brought things in, brought things out, lots of kind of exciting stories around those types of landscapes, and I just love the colours as well. So just as an example, here's a piece of driftwood that I found. This is just a piece of marine ply that's been completely destroyed by the sea, but probably would once have been part of either a vessel or a container. So I want to work on this and take some inspiration from some of the other natural materials that I find lying around, shells and sea glass and things like that. I'm more recently starting to work with 24 karat gold leaf, which might seem a bit of a kind of strange mix, gold and driftwood being a kind of cast away, almost something that's been lost and broken. But I see the quality in things like this, so I actually like the idea of embellishing it with something that's precious and more of a treasure. And this piece, to me, I just see a sunset and a horizon line, so I wanted to kind of embellish this break in the wood with some gold. It's just playful, really. I just like playing with bits of, mainly bits of wood, really, is what I like to play with. So here on the islands, there's the most fantastic garden called the Tresco Abbey Garden. And a lot of these plants aren't native to Great Britain. They were brought in the 1800s by plant hunters who were sent away to exotic places to bring back amazing specimens that we haven't seen here before in Britain. So things from South Africa, New Zealand, and the Canary Islands, America. And they would be brought back on ships, tiny saplings and seedlings, and often were given priority over the actual crew on board, which used to apparently cause quite a lot of kind of ruckus on the ships. So these plants have been brought here to Tresco, where the microclimate is very sheltered and there's an amazing garden. And now these plants are mature, and I love painting them because to me they tell stories about these journeys by sea, which I'm fascinated by. So, and they're beautiful shape, obviously, and they look great with the sea behind them. So here I am throwing everything at this piece, bit of gold, bit of driftwood, and some of the subtropical planting that I love by the coast. I painted that the other day, looking out over those eastern isles that we saw when we went on our walk. And I really had a great time because there was as I was painting, I looked up and there was a seal right in front of me. I hadn't noticed it working away. I was working fast because the tide was coming in each and I was sat right on the edge of it. And I said to myself, I think I've got about 15 minutes here, I've got to quickly. I hadn't actually forgot my palette, so I was working in limpet shells to mix my colours. So I feel like this has got a bit of energy in it because I was in a rush. It's not quite finished yet, but yes, it's definitely, I love working in these colours as well. The colours of the sea here is amazing. The sand is made of shells and also from the sparkle of the granite, so when the sunlight passes through the water, even in the winter, you get these amazing jewel colours. So that's what I like making. It's actually very, very bright. It's almost too bright.
So Ellie, where can people find your work?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram, Ellie Verrecchia _artist, and there you'll see my adventures along the coast. And you'll see there's quite a lot of crossover between my painting adventures and my searching work, because my job as an artist takes me to some amazing places with really interesting stories. So I try to put together lots of little bits of film, photography of my work travelling through this landscape as an artist. Then when you follow my other account, Miss_Detectorist, you'll see my search work, and you'll see me in the same places but finding objects. So I guess I've got sort of two personalities in the same person, but to me they're one and the same thing. It's being creative with found objects and learning about stories. But I guess if you want to learn just about the art, Instagram would be a good place to go, or my website, ellieverrecchia.co.uk. Obviously this week I'm staying here on Tresco Island as a guest of Gallery Tresco, who I work with, and these pieces will end up there. So my original work can be found in Gallery Tresco, but I'm happy to make commissions for people based on a photograph of a special coastal place, and I also work in prints, so they're available on my website.
Thank you very much again, Ellie. It was a fantastic adventure. Thank you for making it possible for me to come over with the sketch pad and go and discover all these places that Jean painted. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience, and it's all thanks to you. So thank you very much indeed. Don't forget, everyone, that if you want to win these paintings here, by Ellie and myself. I have to say that Ellie's is rather more beautiful than mine. Then please put a comment below, something that you've enjoyed about this video, followed by #Tresco, and then in a couple of weeks we will do a draw to see who is the lucky winner. I also want to say several thank yous. I'd like to say thank you to Peter at the flea market. Thank you very much, Peter. And also Peter has a vintage shop. It's really cool in southeast London, and I'll put the details of it up here on the screen in case you get the opportunity to go and visit it. And also go and check out Deptford Flea Market. It really has got lots of lovely gems there on occasions. You might have to rummage a little bit, but there's treasures to be found. I mean, mudlarking is usually what I do, but I also really enjoy rummaging in a good car boot sale or a flea market, because it's really those stories that I'm looking for, whether it's in the mud or in a flea market. So yeah, do go and check it out. So also thank you to everybody on the island of Tresco for a wonderful, wonderful time. Thank you so much to the islander Emma and her two children, Peony and Wren. Also thank you to the new inn on Tresco, and to the boat services, and to the helicopters at Penzance for getting us there safely and getting us back safely too. And thank you to all of you again for your comments, your feedback, for watching my videos. To those of you that have donated to my Ko-fi and my super thanks, I really appreciate it. I really do. I appreciate you all. And so to end this video, I'm just thinking about inspiration again. And we're all inspired by something. So let me know in the comments below what inspires you. It could be a place like the Isles of Scilly. It could be music. It could be a person. What is it that inspires you? Let me know in the comments below. So I'm looking forward to seeing you again very soon. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Do something that you love doing this week and be kind to yourselves. Lots of love. See you soon. Bye-bye. Oh, what is that? Okay.
Yeah, got it. What do you want me to say?
Let's
I was waiting
start.
for you.
I'm going to start right. Okay, we're going to do this right now.
Yeah, go.